Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. So, free agency is free agency is wild, man. I mean, I thought last year was something, but it has nothing on on what's transpiring right now. I was watching Canesville earlier yesterday, and they were talking about how after the dust settled, it was around 19,000 kids who entered the portal last year. And out of that 19,000, only 7,000 actually were able to go to a school. They actually got picked up and went to another school. Now, that's staggering, but it's not as staggering to me for the simple fact that you have a very finite opportunity to go from the high school ranks to the collegiate ranks, and an even more finite chance of going from the collegiate ranks to the NFL, right? Or whatever professional sport that you're trying to get into. So it doesn't necessarily blow me away, because let's think about it like this. Let's put this in perspective, right? Because this is another thing that I see a lot of people saying, right? And it's some merit to it, right? It's some merit to it, because at the end of the day, you potentially could still get your degree at the end of the day, right? But this is what I want to say about that, right? People say that, obviously, what if you didn't have a portal, right? What if you didn't have a portal? What if you couldn't leave? What if you just had to stick it out? You had to grind, you had to work. Okay, there are a lot of guys who stuck it out, grinded, worked. They still didn't get to play. And the bad thing about it is a lot of these guys probably majored in language arts, right? They didn't necessarily major in engineering or business or things of that particular nature. So what you have after 4 years of sitting on the bench, not being able to go showcase your talent, if you felt like that you could have showcased it at a lower level, now you're graduating from college and you have a language arts degree. Or maybe even criminal justice, right? That's not so bad. But, I mean, you got your school for free, right? You got your school for free, but you could go to college and end right back up in the rat race that a lot of people who didn't even go to college are trying to escape from. And you had an opportunity to do it, and you didn't really take advantage, right? So that's why my thing of it is this. Is like, look, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day when guys had to sit on the bench and fight it and, work and work and work. But a lot of those guys, man, that was their sole focus, was football. Your sole focus for 4 years or even 5 years, if you got redshirted in the state, your sole focus for 5 years was football. And probably nobody may have nudged you and said, hey, you know what? It don't look like that you're going to get the playing time that you think that you should get. Maybe you should switch majors while everything is still free, and potentially take some harder courses. So that way when you leave, obviously, a language, you got a lot of these prestigious colleges, they may look at your degree a little bit harder. But the fact of the matter is that nobody talked to you about your plan B. Right? So that's why I kind of don't care about guys transferring, because the objective is this. I mean, you got some guys when they come on visits, they say, hey, look, man, I want to know what the academics is like, man. I'm trying to major in this. I'm trying to major in that. I want to know what my professor's like, class size, all that good stuff. My parents, they want me to get a degree. All right, cool. That's fine, right? But you brought me here on an athletic scholarship. You didn't bring me here on an academic scholarship. Right? I'm a student athlete, but really that should be flipped. I'm an athlete that's a student. That's what I am. You keep pushing this school stuff, but I'm actually an athlete student. That's what I am, right? But so that's how I kind of look at it from the standpoint of where you didn't have a portal. You had the guys that stuck around, that didn't maybe complain and do all that particular stuff like that. So that's that, right? So I'm all for, if you want to leave. It's fine. I mean, a lot of coaches lie to kids to keep their job. And sometimes you were held hostage for the simple fact that you had to pay if you wanted to leave. You had to either lose a whole year of eligibility, or go down to a lower level and try to work your way back up. And then if you try to work your way back up, if you got a hole for a coach and you try to go somewhere else, he might he might throw salt in the game, right? So it's kind of like, and I think people are kind of overlooking some of this stuff, because I see people saying, man, a lot of kids need direction and stuff like this. And I agree. Some of these kids do need to fight through adversity. But let's not take these coaches off the hook who've been shooting this BS for years, and now you got to uphold to this. You lied to me. You did. You lied. You said if I come here and I do this, I did that, and I'm still not on the field. You lied to me. So why am I going to sit here and let you lie to me again? I'm gone. And I don't have to sit out a year. I can leave. Now, the coach might still try to throw some salt in the game, but with the same, but what's going on right now is like, you can throw some salt. I can turn around as a player and I can throw some salt too, because the players have a little voice now. Now, getting off of that, NIL. I saw somebody say that, I see this is an interesting discussion. People are saying, we should put a cap on it. You should put a cap on it. But this is, but listen, this is how we operating, right? This is why people say that. And I understand why, because it gets confusing. It is NIL, like that's what's front and center, but way back behind it is pay for play. That's what it is, right? That's essentially, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is, right? And the reason I say this is because it's not supposed to be used to entice student athletes or athlete students to come to your university. But you gotta stop and look. Like, if the majority of my NIL deals are in the city of the school that I go to, then common sense, man. It's common sense. It's kind of different. Like, you got a situation like Bryce Young or DJU, where DJU was on Pepsi, and obviously Bryce Young has the Heisman House, right? So that's kind of different, right? Because those are like big national type of things, but you got the local businesses and stuff like that. So yeah, you're taken care of to be at this particular school. So that's the gray area, right? I saw somebody comment and say, man, you know what? It's a lot of the boosters, and I'm paraphrasing, man, the boosters are basically just having a bidding war for these particular players. Man, they need to put a cap on it, right? You need to put a cap on it. But you can't put a cap on it because it's under NIL. And you cannot put a cap on what someone is earning, or put a cap on their max earnings for their name, image, and likeness. You can't do it. But the gray area, that's where we're really operating at. We're really operating in the gray area. And I look at this from this is how I look at it. You got the 5%, the 10%, you got the 85%. The 5% are the guys who everybody knows. Those are the guys that you go on YouTube or you go on Instagram and stuff like that, and they have all these reels, and they're doing all these great things and click. Just take for instance like a guy that Miami has pledged, Kamani McLean. I'm sure everyone has seen that hit where the quarterback throws the ball, Kamani gets out the block and just pushes the shoulder him and knocks him down. Okay, that's a big one. All right, last year, right before Travis Hunter flipped to Jackson State, what did we see? At least we saw a lot of Travis Hunter just being a dog, right? He's not the only one. We see, and another guy that came to Miami under transfer circumstances, Tate Martell. Tate Martell, from my recollection, was probably the most popular college football player at the time that he was here. Had the most social media followers and all this stuff, and people, all that. So that's the 5%. You got the 10%, the guys that maybe high 4-star, low 4-star, mid 4-star, people know you, but you're not the 5%. You got the 85, right? You got the 85. 85 are everybody else, right? The guys that's supposed to be high character guys, the guys that, you're not guaranteed anything. You're kind of a little envious of the guy that's ranked ahead of you, and you're like, you got that Michael Jordan syndrome. Like when Mike said he got the UNC and the guy was ranked, whatever he was ranked, and Mike was like, well, he ain't never played me. And so that's kind of how some of y'all go in the game. It's like, he a 5-star, but he ain't never lined up in front of me. So I'm going to make him earn it, right? I'm going to make him earn it. That's what we got now with the NIL is like some guys have outplayed the highly touted guys. I've outplayed you. But I'm not going to get the same recognition as you. Like, again, let's just hypothetically speak, right? Let's go back to, let's say Tim Tebow. Let's use Florida, right? I don't care about Florida. Let's take Tim Tebow, for instance, right? Tim Tebow probably would have made the most money, period, of any NIL athlete throughout his tenure at the University of Florida, right? So let's say, for instance, you got Percy Harvin, right? Percy Harvin put in a lot of work. So what if Percy Harvin would have hypothetically said, I feel like I deserve what Tim deserves. I'm just as much of a part of this offense as Tim is. But from a popularity marketing standpoint, well, Percy, you're not as marketable as Tim, so we can't possibly give you what Tim does. NIL. Follow me. That's NIL. Like, you're not as marketable as Tim Tebow. You're doing the same thing as Tim Tebow is doing in the field. You're just not as marketable, Percy. So Percy says, all right, well, I'm gonna leave. I'm gone. I'm gonna go to Miami. Go to the U. I'm throw the U up. Take it back to not my crib, but to the crib. I'm gonna go down there. That's when the NIL gets back into that little gray area where it's like, well, Percy Harvin is at least worth, at that time, Percy Harvin is at least worth 1.5, 2.5. Percy Harvin is at least worth what we paying one of the coordinators. He gotta be. Look how good he is. But his marketability has not changed. So that's that gray area that we're talking about right there. And into that gray area, which the gray area would not be addressed. Let me be the first to say that gray area would not be addressed, but that is what we're talking about. And that is what is hiding behind NIL. And yes, I believe, look, players, you should get as much money as you can get from NIL. Right? From NIL. But when you get into this gray area, I do kind of believe that, yeah, you do kind of need a cap for, because teams are basically having, like, what it was, before the year started, like, what did Ryan Day say? Ryan Day said, man, we need about $60,000 a year to keep this roster intact. So they have salary, they have a payroll for players. Imagine that. But again, NIL, and just let me know in the comments, did y'all get the comparison to Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin? Because I think that's a good one. We know what Tim Tebow is, but in my opinion, as an outsider, not as a Florida fan, I thought Percy Harvin was just as integral to that offense as Tim Tebow was. But I do not think Percy Harvin was probably as marketable as Tim Tebow was. So you could not justifiably under NIL pay Percy Harvin what you pay Tim Tebow, because Percy Harvin was not as marketable as Tim Tebow is. And so that slaps NIL in the face. And that goes right back to pay for play. And that is what this gray area is doing. And listen, it's a loophole. Abuse it. You know what I'm saying? Abuse it. Right? Abuse it until they try to stop it, but continue to abuse it, right? Because I'm gonna say this and get out of here. Just think about, like, let's say we like a big time left tackle, right? Let's just say you at a team, your team needs a big time left tackle. Big time left tackle gets to the portal. Nobody really knows him, but you're saying, hey, we need to get him break the bank on him. But nobody knows him. How marketable are you? Even when you look at the NFL, who's the most marketable players? The quarterback. Saquon Barkley was quite marketable. Odell. When have you seen a commercial with an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle? Or we seen a linebacker. I remember Brian Urlacher was doing some commercials. I go through Chicago. He's like for Bosley, got hair like right now. So, but just think about that, and let's really put this out here. Is it maybe should be a cap on pay for play, but it can't be a cap on NIL. But you won't get to the gray area because it's hidden under the guise of NIL, right? But anyway, man, it's all about the you. And like, subscribe, and share. And again, salute Coach Hayes, salute Wholesome. You guys are the best.